Good evening, I'm Mi Jung Lee. Thanks for joining us for this special online edition of CTV News at 6. Police are investigating a brazen murder in the middle of a busy parking lot. A man was gunned down yesterday, and then a car was found torched a little later. As St. John Alexander reports, the killer is still out there.
All the evidence points to a targeted hit, a public execution in broad daylight. And by all accounts, the victim saw the shooters coming.
The information we currently have is Mr. Abis was in the parking lot and he was chased through the parking lot. Where frontline officers located him was on the ground near a grassy area.
When police arrived at the McDonald's parking lot off Willingdon Avenue, 34-year-old Shahib Abbasi was already dead. They've dealt with him before and are confident this was deliberate.
It's obviously clear that those responsible for this shooting had absolutely no regard for public safety or the community.
Because the victim was taken down around dinner time when the area was filled with bystanders, there are bound to be a lot of witnesses.
Any kind of violence is tragic and crazy and wow.
It always concerns me when there's something like that happen.
And that's why we are asking and urging anybody that has information on this homicide or anybody that was in the area that might have witnessed it to contact IHIT.
And as we've seen over and over with gang activity, 15 minutes after the shooting, a torched car was found nearby, likely used in the attack. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Burnaby.
Meanwhile, police are trying to determine whether that homicide is linked to the fatal shooting of a man inside a taxi in Langley over the weekend. The victim has been identified as 24-year-old Taryn Pander. Homicide investigators say Pander was known to police and believe his murder is connected to BC's gang conflict. He was shot around 200th Street and 53rd Avenue late Friday. Anyone who recorded dashcam video in the area that night between 9 and 11 p.m. is asked to call police. Now to the latest in the court case involving the suspect in the Lapu Lapu Festival killing. The provincial court judge hearing the case has turned down an application from CTV News and other media outlets to lift a publication ban on the suspect's mental fitness hearing. CTV's Ben Nesbitt was in court today and joins us live. Ben, what more can you tell us?
Justice Reg Harris said he certainly appreciates the open court principle and is bothered by the fact that the details of that hearing have to remain private for now at least. But he said in order to give the accused the best chance at the right to a fair trial, he felt that he absolutely had to keep this ban in place. Now, at the conclusion of the hearing yesterday, Harris ruled that Kaiji Adam Lowe was fit to stand trial on 11 counts of second-degree murder and 31 counts of attempted murder. The ban includes the observations of 2 forensic psychologists regarding Lowe's mental state and the name of the secure mental health facility where he's been held without bail since the vehicle ramming attack in April.
I think His Honor struggled with the decision, but ultimately, in his balancing, his understanding of what a fair trial ought to look like here meant that today we're not talking about what transpired at the fitness hearing. And it's disappointing for the media, and I think it's going to be disappointing to some members of the community.
Authorities say Lowe was under the care of a Vancouver Coastal Health team at the time of the attack. He was subject to conditions under BC's Mental Health Act, but was still living freely in the community. Now, today, Lowe did sit and watch by video from that undisclosed mental health facility as Harris laid out his judgments for this publication ban ruling. It's not clear yet whether this will be a trial by jury or judge, because the trial likely won't take place until at least 2027. Lowe is due back in court in late October. Mi Jung?
Ben Nesbitt reporting live tonight. The man accused of carrying out a triple stabbing at a festival in Chinatown 2 years ago was back on the stand today, with the Crown prosecutor probing his thought process in the build-up to the attack. Blair Donnelly was on an unescorted day pass from a psychiatric hospital at the time. CTV's Martin McMahon has more from BC Supreme Court.
Blair Donnelly has admitted he was the one who carried out this triple stabbing. And Crown prosecutor Mark Meyer has insisted that Donnelly arrived at the decision to do that independently. But Donnelly has pushed back throughout these proceedings, saying he was guided by God.
Saying at one point, I was just on automatic. It just seemed like everything I did, I was being led to do it. But the Crown has been pushing back on the argument that Donnelly felt he was instructed by God, suggesting to him one by one that each decision he made that day was his own. Donnelly often pausing for extended periods before agreeing.
One of those was the decision to buy a chisel. Donnelly says that the chisel allowed him to hurt people, as he believed God wanted him to do, without actually killing anybody.
In one exchange, the prosecutor suggested to him he wasn't guided by the Holy Spirit. After an extended pause, Donnelly said, "Perhaps not. Perhaps so. I don't know." He now says he misinterpreted signs and feels as if God didn't want him to carry out the attack. Donnelly has a history of violence, most notably stabbing his 16-year-old daughter to death in 2006, for which he was found not criminally responsible.
Next week, a doctor will take the stand and discuss Donnelly's most recent psychological assessment, a key consideration as we wait to see if Donnelly will be found criminally responsible in this case. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
A CTV investigation into Airbnb has Vancouver City Councillors pledging to take action and confront the company. All this week, we've been reporting on landlords duped by tenants who illegally post the suites on the platform. It flies in the face of short-term rental rules, and landlords say the tech giant needs to crack down. CTV's Shannon Patterson has the exclusive story.
Hossein Tavakoli was the first Vancouver condo owner to tell CTV News his long-term tenant illegally listed the unit on Airbnb.
I didn't find the listing myself. I got it from one of the guests.
Then Sylvie Kim reached out saying the same thing happened to her.
I was thinking, oh my God, this might be an organizational crime.
I think amazing work by CTV News uncovering this and really growing this story, because I think as we're hearing from folks who are experiencing the same thing, it's clearly a wider spread problem.
It's shocking, really. I was really stunned to see the coverage from CTV around these two cases and understand that there are more. So clearly, there's some loopholes that need to be tightened up here.
In both cases, the condo owners say Airbnb wouldn't remove the fraudulent listings, telling them to take it up with the host, who was a stranger, not their tenant.
I'm quite disappointed to learn through your reporting that Airbnb, in fact, is not taking down these listings, and it's up to the actual property owner to go in and enforce the rules that Airbnb is supposed to be compliant with. So that is something that I'll be looking into.
Not knowing who is living in your property and having a series of guests when you are, thinking that you're renting to a tenant for the long term is very concerning. So I am going to be following up with Airbnb directly, as well as our city manager.
Airbnb hosts are supposed to provide a municipal and provincial registration number. In the listing for Tavakoli's unit, the fake host claimed the condo was exempt.
It would be nice if our partners at Airbnb were being a little bit more forthcoming in ensuring that folks did have an accurate and up-to-date business license, that they weren't fudging it with an exempt status that doesn't exist.
We're in a multi-phase process with short-term rental companies around regulation in the province. We have some opportunities for additional work to do with Airbnb in relation to compliance.
When these two condo owners discovered their units were being illegally rented on Airbnb, their so-called tenants disappeared, leaving them to clean up the damage left behind by guests. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
BC plays a big part in the Prime Minister's rollout of mega projects designed to turbocharge our economy. The expansion of LNG in Kitimat is on the list of projects that Mark Carney wants to fast-track. The other is a mine in northern BC, but environmentalists and First Nations leaders are questioning the impact. CTV Legislative Bureau Chief Rob Buffum reports.
Doubling production at the LNG Canada plant in Kitimat is one of the 5 major projects unveiled by Ottawa Thursday, getting fast-tracked approvals and potentially federal funding.
To get nation-building projects built faster.
Another BC project on the list, expansion of the Red Chris Critical Minerals Project in northwest BC.
British Columbia is going to be the engine of the new Canadian economy that we're building, that's more independent, that is delivering to global markets.
The batch includes modular reactors at Ontario's existing Darlington nuclear generating station, expansion by the Port of Montreal, and a critical mineral mine in Saskatchewan. Not making the grade, yet at least an oil pipeline through BC, something Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has campaigned for. Thursday, she sounded an optimistic tone.
I thought finally they get it, because it's all the projects that have been difficult to build.
Smith heartened that a Pathways Plus carbon capture project seen as a prerequisite for a new pipeline is on a secondary list, buoying her hopes that a pipeline could be coming too.
Just encourage Albertans to not lose faith in the process. Let's work together on it.
But not everyone's happy. Doubling production of LNG in Kitimat comes with inadequate Indigenous consultation, says the head of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs.
There was absolutely no effort at any substantive consultation with the First Nations people before these projects were contemplated, planned, and initiated.
Another set of major projects will get the thumbs up by Ottawa in time for Grey Cup in November. BC hopes to add hydroelectric transmission lines to Yukon and Alberta in that round.
And Rob Buffum joins us live from Victoria. Rob, how many more projects are expected to get Ottawa's approval for fast tracking?
Well, that is a good question, Mi Jung. We learned today that the next round, one of the possible candidates for that will be a high-speed train connecting Toronto and Montreal that could go as fast as 300 kilometers an hour. And then Prime Minister Carney also indicated that there will be additional rounds. One, he joked perhaps in time for the Stanley Cup and then the World Cup. And while I think he was being lighthearted about the specific timing, he made it clear that there will be a variety of tranches coming up, which again heightens the possibility of there being an oil pipeline. Mi Jung.
Rob Buffum reporting live tonight from Victoria. A developer is canceling a major condo project in Vancouver's River District. It was billed as a luxury oasis on the waterfront. But West Group is sinking the project as the condo glut grows in Metro Vancouver. It comes as August home sales were lower than the industry expected. CTV's Dimitra Maragos reports.
If you build it, they will come. Unless higher than anticipated construction and delivery costs specific to the project are at play. That's what West Group Properties, the developers of Ardea project in the River District, say happened. The 204-unit project canceled.
I think it's just really reflective of the conditions for developers right now in BC, but in a lot of larger markets.
Brendan Ogmanson, the chief economist for the BC Real Estate Association, says West Group Properties' reasoning for canceling the project isn't surprising.
We have what I think has been accurately described as a cost of delivery crisis.
He says current market conditions,
the market's been fairly slow,
and rising costs.
It's not just materials costs and labor costs, it's taxes and fees and delays
are key factors as to why the current environment isn't encouraging for developers at large.
For these projects to make sense at current prices with costs rising, we need somehow to make these projects make economic sense.
Ogmanson says with developers having excess inventory,
they can't sell their existing inventory, then it just pushes out the problem further and further, and we get further and further behind reaching those goals.
This issue may not resolve in the near future.
I think it should be seen as kind of a warning.
West Group Properties says they will be bringing a new project forward that's more viable. They also added that those who purchased a pre-sale unit will be getting their deposit back in full as per their agreement. Dimitra Maragos, CTV News, Burnaby.
An impaired driver is facing charges after crashing into a stopped bus in Port Moody. It happened just before 7:30 yesterday evening in the 3200 block of St. John's. Police say the driver of an SUV slammed into an occupied transit bus that was pulled over at a bus stop. No injuries were reported, but riders had to be transferred to another bus. The driver of the SUV, a man in his 50s, failed a roadside alcohol screening test. His vehicle was impounded and he faces a 90-day driving prohibition. More training opportunities are coming for future nurse practitioners in BC, with dozens of new seats being added at universities across the province.
Government knows that nurse practitioners are essential healthcare providers, and we're committed to training more healthcare workers, including doctors, nurses, paramedics, and allied health professionals, so that everyone in BC can get the healthcare they need when and where they need it.
65 more seats are being added to 3 post-secondary institutions, UBC, UVic, and UNBC. The province is investing $4.7 million annually to support the expansion, bringing the total number of nurse practitioner training spots in BC to 165 per year. As BC continues its push to recruit American doctors, a family physician from the UK has made the move to Kelowna. He and his wife have been documenting their journey on social media. But as CTV's Michelle Bernaro reports, not all the attention has been positive.
Meet West Kelowna's newest family doctor. His name is Dr. Saad Khan, and he and his wife Samantha recently traded this view in the UK for this one in Kelowna.
BC is kind of what you think about when you think of Canada. You think of the trees and the mountains and the lakes, and they're all right outside your window.
But it's not just the views or the great outdoors that have impressed them.
Every single person that we have met from the second we got off the plane have welcomed us.
Dr. Khan saw an ad on social media about the search for doctors in Canada and already had a Kelowna connection.
I had a colleague who used to work with me in the UK, and he moved to Canada, to BC, and luckily we're colleagues again.
In March, the province launched a recruitment campaign targeting U.S. doctors.
Our government's commitment is to continue to strengthen the healthcare system here in BC.
Dr. Khan says he's aware of the difficulties physicians here face, but still believes BC offers a better life than the UK.
I've been here 2 months now, and I'm responsible for almost 300 patients now. It's unfortunately quite bad, even worse back home.
Samantha, an occupational therapist, also hopes to find a job here when she gets through all the required assessment exams. Beyond workloads, the couple has other reasons for leaving the UK, one financial, the other more personal.
They don't want people of my skin color to come and stay. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. If you're brown, then somehow or the other you're locked in with all the illegal immigration that everyone keeps talking about.
When he posted about this on social media, the couple was shocked at the response from people back in the UK.
I had to take a minute to pause with the amount of vitriol that was being thrown on that video.
Meanwhile, the couple is enjoying new experiences in BC.
We've had poutine for the first time. That was really good.
Soaking in the last of summer, even as they're warned about winter.
According to Google, Kelowna's winters are not that bad. That being said, we'll find out in a few months.
Michelle Bernaro, CTV News, Vancouver.
The district of Tofino is furthering its commitment to the environment by taking aim at some popular plastic pollutants. The West Coast community has become the first municipality in Canada to adopt a bylaw that prohibits the sale of single-use plastic water bottles. The ban applies to all plastic water containers that are under 1 liter and will officially take effect on April 22nd of next year. The Vancouver Police Department is projecting to be over budget by millions at the end of this year. A report from the department finds it will need nearly $8 million to compensate for the overspend. Last year, City Council approved around $425 million for the department's operating budget. That's an increase of 3.6% from the previous year. Chief Steve Rye says the overspend is due to overtime, protests, and the Lapu Lapu Day tragedy.
It's an extraordinary year. Obviously, we had Lapu Lapu. We've got vacancies. There's a drive throughout the province, throughout the region for police officers. We're all trying to attract new officers, and most of the departments are running at vacancy levels, including VPD, and we have to fill that on overtime, especially through the summer.
The VPD says it has about 80 to 100 vacancies. Vancouver City Council will approve the 2026 budget in December. A ceremony was held at Peace Arch Park this morning to mark the 24th anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks. Dignitaries and first responders from both sides of the border gathered to pay tribute to the nearly 3,000 victims, including 24 Canadians. The ceremony followed the annual 9/11 Memorial Ride organized by motorcyclists in Metro Vancouver.
This ride is not only an act of remembrance, but also a symbol of unity and resilience. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, communities rise in solidarity with courage and compassion.
The memorial happened at a time when tensions between the U.S. and Canada are high due to Donald Trump's tariffs. But today was all about respect, unity, and appreciation for first responders. Many have compared the recent rise of artificial intelligence to the internet boom in the 90s or the invention of the smartphone. While it's considered a breakthrough technology, many Canadians want to pump the brakes on how quickly AI is advancing. CTV's Kevin Chirac explains.
From tutoring students in elementary school to performing life-saving surgery, artificial intelligence is emerging virtually everywhere, but a new survey shows many Canadians would prefer to slow down its rapid progress.
The reality is we have a 4-point increase, now reaching 50% of Canadians who believe that AI is a threat.
That's up from a survey conducted 2 years ago, with data showing most skepticism coming from seniors.
It's the over 55 generation that is more likely to be worried about AI, essentially making things harder for humanity.
The survey also shows nearly 80% are concerned with AI's threat to jobs and its dumbing down of education, and just over 70% even worry AI can threaten human life.
People, I think, have a right to be concerned about where it's going.
Alan Mackworth has spent decades working in AI.
This is one of the world's first robot soccer players.
Creating ball-kicking robots in the 90s. He says AI's impact on jobs needs to be addressed, along with how it's being used in online scams.
We have to be concerned about maintaining human autonomy and human dignity as robotics and AI become increasingly prevalent. So there's a clear need for regulation.
But he says the rewards of AI are too great to ignore, calling for a more balanced approach.
I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, but very wary of some of the rogue uses of AI that have to be curtailed. But I think there's enormous potential for good, especially in healthcare.
Most people gravitate towards, let's handle this slowly, figure out a way in which we can make this better for humanity without jeopardizing existing jobs.
Less than 40% polled said they trust government to manage AI. Kevin Chirac, CTV News.
Millions of Canadians will take part in the Terry Fox Run on Sunday in support of cancer research. It's a very special milestone for the Terry Fox Foundation, as this year marks the 45th anniversary of the Marathon of Hope. Terry's niece, Kristen Fox, joined CTV Morning Live to talk about it.
It's humbling as well being part of the family that so many people believe in what Terry started, and it's because of the volunteers, the donors, the fundraisers who really believe in that and want to help Terry finish it, help him find a cure for cancer.
More than 10,000 schools across Canada are taking part in the run on Sunday. If you're a BC Lions fan, you probably know the story. While attending a Lions game back in 1989, Pamela Anderson was put up on the big screen. The crowd went wild and Anderson was launched to stardom. Now the Lions are paying tribute with a Pamela Anderson look-alike contest.
Well, that's the great thing about Pamela Anderson. There's so many generations of Pamela. It really spans the generations. We've got the young, discovered at BC Place. We've got the, bombshell years. We've got the new version of Pamela. I want to see every single version of Pamela out there.
The contest will be held at Terry Fox Plaza before tomorrow's game against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Move over dogs and cats. A sweater-wearing emotional support alligator is snapping up attention.
I didn't think that I would actually own an alligator ever. It's been really kind of incredible. We've gone to restaurants, we've been to Denny's where she's a star there. She gets VIP treatment.
Owner Wesley Silva says the animal usually receives a warm welcome until about 2 weeks ago when shoppers at a local Walmart complained. The animal is registered for emotional support, but Walmart says alligators pose a risk to the public and are not permitted in its stores. Silva says while he's upset, he'll continue taking her wherever she is welcome. The gator will grow to about 6 to 8 feet long.
Wow.
That can get a little awkward, taking the alligator to wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Adorable, though. I love the sweater.
Yeah, very cute in the sweater. Might be a little hot, though.
Yes, for him for sure, but for our early morning hours, it is sweater weather. It is cooler to start. Here's a look at our storm tracker. Some periods of rain for the central coast as well as tips of Vancouver Island. As we head into your early morning commute, slowly but surely things will dry up for us. It'll stay cloudy to start, but then it does clear up quite nicely. So this is what we can expect as we head into tomorrow. A mix of sun and cloud with temperatures just around 21 degrees. That's how we'll kick off the weekend as well. And then Sunday afternoon, that's when the showers return, cooling down to 19. Clears up quite nicely with a few clouds on Monday, mostly sunny skies on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we're looking at temperatures in the low 20s with partly cloudy conditions. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So not too bad at all.
Yeah, great forecast. Still, everyone is wearing T-shirts.
I know. Well, it is still summer, so keep the T-shirts and sandals and shorts for as long as possible.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Anne. Well, that's all for CTV News at 6 tonight. We are back to normal programming tomorrow. Craig Krause is following any developing stories tonight. He'll have a full wrap-up at 11:30. See you tomorrow.